Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. This is only a test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Good.
All right. Welcome to our week 2 coaches show presented by KK Collision, joined by Maumee head coach Evan Karchner. And I'm sure, Coach, you are at an all-time high right now after that victory last Friday night over Springfield to snap a 34-game winning or losing streak going back to 2019.
Yeah, no, Friday was pretty special, and obviously we had the whole community out there, and it was special for our seniors and our team. They've waited a long time. They've waited a long time for that, and there's a lot of excitement, and we're still riding that a little bit. But I touched a little bit with my players after Saturday. We're going to move on from that and attack the next opponent, which is going to be Bryant this week.
Coach, talk about that a little bit. Coming off of a huge high and getting your kids back focused on the task ahead, and that's week 2. What's that been like, and how have the kids responded with that?
Yeah, so we knew coming to Maumee, we knew some of the struggles was, hey, getting that monkey off our back in that first win. And I said, hey, the first couple games, we're going to have some that I think that we can be in and we can win. And obviously the first one's nice to go get and get that out of the way. And I said, the first struggle I thought we were going to face was how are we going to handle adversity, which I thought in Springfield we handled a lot of adversity, and we played really tough and bounced back. And then I said the second thing that we're going to have to battle through is handling success, right? These kids haven't won before, and this is their first win, and are they going to think, hey, have we arrived, and hey, we just win now, and forget all the hard work and everything that went into that. But I constantly remind them that. I said we're going to take 24 hours, and you guys deserve to enjoy this. Maumee deserves to enjoy this. But our goal wasn't to go 1-9. It wasn't to beat Springfield. That was just one of our small goals that we wanted to do. And like I said, we want to keep taking steps forward and improving our program.
Well, Coach, 2 things. Number 1, you answered my first question. How long did you give the kids to kind of bask in it and enjoy it? You answered that, 24 hours. I love it. Can't disagree. Number 2, what are some takeaways, some things that you thought were really positive in the game? I know the win's the main thing, right? And then what were some areas where you said, man, we've got some work to do there?
Yeah, so obviously, we didn't play a perfect game. I'm not sure I've ever marked a perfect game. Like I said, I thought we played really well offensively. We got to clean up our turnovers. We turned the ball over twice, and we hit on winning the turnover battle, which we tied 2-2 with them. And it was a tipped pass, which we were going in the score, and then obviously the sack fumble at the end. So that's the stuff that we can get better at. I also thought our special teams could have played better. We missed a field goal and a little bit on our punt at the end. If it wasn't for our punter and our long snapper, I'm not sure we get that off when they brought all the heat. So we hit on that a little bit today, and we watched film about it on Saturday. So that's stuff that we want to improve on. But I was really happy with bouncing back from the interception and the fumble. Right, I thought one of the biggest plays of the game was that strip sack, and then our quarterback runs all the way down the field and makes a tackle on the 20-yard line. So instead of letting them score, they had to run off a minute and 30 more seconds. And by that time, we were under 4 minutes, and I was like, guys, every second is going to be worth it here. We were up, we had a couple score lead. So I was happy with our resilience and us being able to bounce back, and I was happy with how we ran the football and how we stopped the run there. I mean, we went into the fourth quarter and it was 21-6. And obviously a couple of things didn't go our way, but that's some things I was really happy with. But, we are far from reaching our full potential, and we're going to work towards that every day.
Thank you.
Maumee grad, everything that goes into this game, the community, put that into words for us. How much does this mean? I know it's just one game, but how much does this mean for you personally, the kids, that Maumee community, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, Maumee has always been special to me. I'm pretty sure when I was in high school, I won the Mr. Maumee Award. But it's always been special to me. It's always been near and dear. And when I've been away the few years when they've been really bad, it hurt my heart, right? And I came from where we were winning 8-9 games a year and going to the playoffs and it being a really exciting thing and everybody loving football. And I came back and that's just not the case anymore. And I've, like I said, that when I got here in February, I've been working hard to gain that sense of pride back, right? With our players, when I first got back, there wasn't necessarily a sense of pride of, hey, I play football for Maumee. And I'd say, guys, there is a sense of pride in that, right? Our community surrounds around our football team, and even our sports. And I'm just trying to gain that back slowly, and I tried to do some stuff in the summer to get that back. So it was real special to, even coming out for our second scrimmage, we had a lot of people there for our home scrimmage. And then coming for our first game, I mean, our stands looked like it was full and there wasn't anybody. And then there was a bunch of people lining the fence and everybody wanted to see us be successful. And it's really special. And it's really special for our players. I think they've waited a long time for that and they work hard and they deserve that.
Coach, you talked about the time that you invested with the community this summer to get that on board. And you're in a geography that gets really, really tough with the private schools. St. John's is literally right down the road. St. Francis, not too much further, Central right there as well. How do we keep those kids in the Maumee program going forward?
Yeah, like me and you talked about before, the stuff doing in some getting the community involved in multiple different ways, right? We do ladies' night. We have different youth camps. We have a youth camp for our middle school. We actually have a really, really good youth football program, Maumee Youth Football, which we kind of got the relationship. Even when I was in I played in Maumee Youth Football. It wasn't great with the high school, and I wanted to reconnect that and get them involved. Every home game, I have the youth football tunnel out there that we walk through and slap their hands. Is just getting them involved because what you want for those kids to say, well, I want to be Cody Wolf one day and I want to play for Coach Karchner, and getting those kids to see that. And by the time they come to make that decision in 8th grade, there is no decision, right? It's saying, and obviously, me and Coach Strock talk about you got to win too. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But I do believe you do the right things, you get the community involved and you get the kids involved in the youth, wins will follow that, which I thought we did a really good job as a coaching staff this summer. And I thought even our kids and our players did a really good job getting those kids involved as well.
I gotta tell our listeners, we were doing our picks on our weekly podcast, and you talk about the all-time worst timing in the world. We get to the Bryan Maumee game, and I'm getting ready to release my pick, and Coach Karchner is walking up the way, and I thought, oh my gosh, do I cower and change my pick, or do I go with my original thought? And I picked Bryan, and his words were, we know it's going to be a tough game. You got to pick somebody. But Coach Karchner also knows there was nobody happier than I was for him and the Maumee community, and most importantly, the kids in that program. Because ultimately, it's not about you. It's not about the parents or the town folks. It's about those kids.
Yeah, I talk to our guys all the time. I say I don't really care what people say outside of our locker room. I said it's us, and when we get out on the field, I said it's us. It's this 11 right here, right? I'm not going to be out there with you. It's what you guys are going to fight for and stand for, and who you want to be to represent our program. Which I was very proud of how they represented our program on Friday, and I'm glad a win came out of that, and I got to see the smile on their faces. That's really all I care about.
Well, and even watching that replay on BCS and our friends over there, you could feel the energy of the kids watching a replay. I mean, you could just tell they were ready to come on court. And I think back to when you guys were out here for the radio show, Coach, you mentioned this and remember this. Man, all those kids showed up in matching polos. I mean, they looked sharp. They had pride in what they were doing. So credit to you, Coach, for rebuilding that pride in the program. What are going to be the keys this Friday night with Bryan coming to town?
So like I said, we like to run the football and control the clock, and we would like to continue to do that. Obviously, we want to be able to take care of the football a little bit better and play a little bit better special teams and try to win 2 phases of the game. Like I said, Bryan's a tough football team. Their quarterback's really, really good. We obviously, it's a little bit of advantage that we got to play them last year when we were at Evergreen and got a feel for Coach Redhead and, how he runs his team. But, he does a really good job getting them ready to go and playing that tough brand of football. So I think it's going to be a great matchup, and we're really excited for Friday.
Great.
Coach, touch on them offensively. You talked about Jace Kepler. They're a really good quarterback. What concerns do they present to your defense on Friday night?
Yeah, so they do have I would say their backfield is pretty talented with their running back and their quarterback. They can attack you through the air or on the ground. Like you said, Kepler is a very talented football player. I think he's one of the best football players in Northwest Ohio. And I said that last year, right? I think in the NWAL, I voted for him for Offensive Player of the Year. And I was always really impressed with him. So obviously we got to stop him. And I talked with our team and saying, hey, if we're going to lose, right, let's make someone else beat us but him. So everything revolves around that. But again, I think Brian's a well-rounded football team, and they're going to be tough to beat, but we're looking for the challenge on Friday.
Coach, what does this mean to you? And maybe it means absolutely nothing in 2023. Last year, Brian 48, Maumee 20. Does that mean anything going into this game?
I try not to look too much into that because, we're a completely different football team. I mean, even schematically, like we're running a different defense, different offense. I mean, the kids think different. Or like you said, we're coming off a win. Confidence is riding high right now. Obviously, I got to control that a little bit. Can't ride too high. But I think we're a completely different football team. And last year, I watched that film. I even watched it when I was at Evergreen. You can only take it with a grain of salt for the early games, especially, getting into the NWAL, I'd say teams get judged off of their conference play there. You can look great before then, but that's one of the toughest leagues in Northwest Ohio, which I think also the NBC is. So I do think this is a good matchup for us, and it prepares us for our league. And I think we're going to do a good job preparing them for their league. Like I said, we're just excited to compete on Friday.
I love what you said. We are different mentally. I love it.
How have you changed that mentality? Take us through that from your perspective a little bit.
And is it totally changed yet?
Or has it? I know it's one. Yeah, it's one win.
Yeah, it's one win. And
Yeah.
obviously, I've only been here 6 months or so. But the first thing we tried to change was the weight room, right? How we go about our weightlifting. And I hired a strength and conditioning coordinator that wanted my views on how I wanted the weight room run, and I wanted to be fast and focused and have a purpose of what we're doing. And we incorporated some competitions, and we did that throughout summer, and everything revolved around, hey, how am I going to win this rep, right? How am I going to win this set or win this day, right? And that carried right into our practices is, hey, how are you going to win this drill, right? And we're not competing against our scout team, right? We're competing against Bryan right now. We're competing against Springfield. We're competing against Bowser, against Eastwood, right? And you got to just constantly remind them of that, because I think that's easy for a high school kid to overlook. Say, well, I'm getting interceptions at practice against the scout team, or I'm the best on my team, right? It's not about that. We're not playing ourselves, right? We're playing other teams, and you know what? They're getting coached too, and they're also the best on their team as well. So everything revolved around, once I got to Maumee, was, hey, how are we winning? Right? How are you going to win? Sometimes you just got to find a way, and sometimes it's ugly. It's not always going to be pretty. I'd say last Friday versus Springfield was ugly, right? But we found a way, and that was a huge thing for our mentality and changing, our culture of our program, because now they know, hey, we can win, right? And it's not always going to be, hey, I'm walking in the end zone. Sometimes I'm going to have to run over someone, right, to get to where we want to be.
Coach, you touched on this a little bit, but obviously Maumee, for some listeners may not even know, tradition-rich program in the NLL. You might have like the second most wins of any team in the NLL in the history of the league. Dawn of a new era, and I know that we don't want to look much past week 2 here. I recognize that, but comment on what has you excited about the league change and kind of the atmosphere of that.
Yeah, obviously we'll miss the NLL. We've been one of the longstanding members of the NLL, and and obviously I played in the NLL, and it's a very special league, and it was great. The rivalry with Perrysburg, which I do believe is going to come back one day. That won't go away. But we are excited to be in the NBC. I did spend a fair amount of time in the NBC and competing there, and that's a very tough league. With Eastwood and Genoa. The ad of Oak Harbor. I mean, there's some really talented teams in there, and we're really excited to be in that league and represent it well. And hopefully we could end up being one of those teams that gets into the playoffs, and we can represent our league and who we are.
You coached in that league. What makes that league so special or so challenging, maybe from your standpoint, now that you're in it?
Well, it is a little bit different now. I mean, when I got there, a lot of people were running the wing tee, and it was sort of hard nosed, and but everybody started to get away from that a little bit. Obviously the Rutherford's leaving, and Genoa changing a couple coaches, and ends up being a little bit different. But, it still didn't change, the culture of the teams that are playing in that league. Like Eastwood, it doesn't matter what offense they're going to run, right? They're going to pound it. They're going to tackle the ball carrier and swarm the football. Genoa, the same thing. I didn't know a whole lot about Oak Harbor until I watched them play Eastwood in the playoffs last year, and I was very impressed. One thing I told Craig Rutherford after the game, I said, "You're lucky to get out of that one." And I thought they played them really hard. So obviously, there's a lot of good teams. Otsiego's also improving and getting better. And we're just excited to be in that league, and hopefully, we could become one of those teams and say, yeah, the NBC, Maumee is one of those tough teams, right? We're going to have to play every single year. And again, as good as our league can get, that'll just help us later on in the postseason.
Coach, I know I'm not asking you to give away all your secrets and what buttons you push and things like that, but when you talk to your team on Saturday morning, I'm assuming you came in Saturday morning for filming that.
Yes, sir.
What's the first thing you said to try to get them refocused going ahead to Bryan?
Yeah, so Saturday we try to wrap it up, and we go over and we fix our mistakes. We highlight some things and give some kids some confidence. Especially kids that need it. We go through and we do all our goal. We go through all our goals. We have team goals. We have special teams goals. We have offense, defense. Right. We hand out stickers and all that stuff when we win football games. So that's something I believe they haven't done in a long, long, long time. So that was something that we took them through, and we finished it up today before practice. But wrapping all that up, we went outside and we conditioned, and we sort of talked to them, said, "Hey guys, that was great. Enjoy it." Right. But when we come back on Monday, we're focused on Bryan, right? Leave that stuff in the past. Right. And one thing that I got a sticker for their helmet. It's one thing that we always break on win and what's important now. I say right now, Springfield's not important. Right. What's important right now is how we are going to get better on Monday for Bryan, and prepare ourselves to win on Friday.
Coach, did you, for the most part, without getting specific, did you come out healthy overall?
We did come out healthy. Yeah, we had a couple cramps, but obviously, with the heat rising back up, our kids got to take care of themselves, and we talked about that. And that's always going to be a challenge with high school kids. But I think a lot of our kids saw how it affected them on Friday, and hopefully we make those changes moving forward.
Great.
Touch on that and how you're handling this week, because Thursday is supposed to be a burner. Is a heat index up in the triple digits, maybe a couple other days. How are you handling this week, practice wise, and all that?
So we talked with our trainer today before practice, and I was like, is it going to be Wednesday or Thursday? Because that's a huge difference, right?
Are you guys in school already or not?
Yeah, we had our upper class.
So morning's not an option.
Yeah, morning's not an option, but obviously you'd rather it be a Thursday than a Monday through Wednesday. Those are a little bit different practices. So obviously we got to keep our kids safe and do the right thing, make sure they're drinking water, and we give them enough water breaks. Today we made sure we gave them a water break every 15 minutes, and this make sure we're doing the smart things and not falling into, hey, we just got to be tough and, doing the things that aren't healthy. But it looks like we're going to be able to sneak by on Tuesday and Wednesday and get some good full padded practices. And, on Thursday, just handle what comes at us there and, try to get the most out as we can. But yeah, it is an obstacle. It is bizarre. Last week it was chilly. I almost
absolutely.
And then today I walk out there and I'm drenched in sweat just running out to the practice field. So our kids got to be ready to go. And I told them that's something, again, we can't control. And, we worry about what we can control, and that's taking care of ourselves all week and preparing to play on Friday. And, every time we're out there practicing, whether it's 100 degrees or 65 degrees, right, we got to practice the same way. And that's just talking a little bit about our mental toughness and how we got to improve on that.
Yeah.
Oh, and I believe it's supposed to be triple digits in Bryan as well.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's supposed to be triple digits everywhere in the Midwest.
Not in Bryan. We might travel out there to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coach, give us some keys against their defense this week. I know we touched on them offensively. What has stood out with that Bryan's defense?
Yeah, so obviously their team is fairly small. I heard a quote from Coach Redhead saying this is as thin as they've ever been. So they have a lot of guys playing both ways. So, that's a good thing and a bad thing because, their best players are playing on both sides of the ball. And we try to do the same thing. So obviously we're both going to have to handle the heat. And again, I think they do a very good job tackling the ball carrier and swarming the football, which is always hard for a team that wants to run the football. And we look for ways that we can attack them there. But again, I think they're pretty sound and they're going to be ready to go. And, like I said, Coach Redhead does a really good job trying to get his guys ready to go to play these tough games. And it's definitely going to be a challenge. And I'm looking forward to it. He was, one of the friends that I made when we were coaching the NWOAL, and we were emailing back and forth. So I think we're both looking forward to Friday.
Yeah. How about special teams? Because I know week one is usually the first time you guys are live in that situation. Where are you at special teams?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I don't look too much into their special teams. Obviously, they got some threats, and they got some good skilled players. And then it comes down to effort on special teams and finding kids that like, hey, I want to do that, right? And that goes a little bit towards the rewards of, hey, we get the reward stickers, and I let my special team guys eat first at team dinner, and all that good stuff, along with the scout team guys, and try to give them a little bit of a extra little umph there. But I think when it comes down to special teams, especially in high school, it's who's going to be most locked in and who's going to go the hardest, right? And who's going to take it the most seriously. And I told our guys on Saturday, I said, how we played special teams for Springfield is not going to cut it, right? I don't think we won. I don't know if Springfield won, right? But I told us, I said, we can be better, right? And we worked on it a lot today. And I said, moving forward, that's not going to be a phase that we're going to lose, right? And I am like, I don't care if I got to spend a half hour on it every day. And today we came out, we did pretty well, and they're all locked in, ready to go. So I'm hoping that's something that we can get better at moving forward. And, when it comes to all that, we're more locked in on who we are as in that third phase than who we're facing.
Coach, I don't have anything else for you. Couple things. Number one, thanks for taking the time on a Monday to come out to Liberty Center and spend time with us. Couldn't be happier for you, the kids in the community, but more than that, I'm looking forward to seeing where you take this program. And there'll be some bumps in the road, as we know.
Yep.
But I know you'll get to where you want to go. And so best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Echo those comments. Yep. Good luck, Coach.
Yep,
Thank you for stopping out. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Welcome back to the KK Collision Coaches Show, joined now by Ayersville head coach Andrew Mickey. Coach, thank you for making the trip out, and good to see our good old friend, the old podcast days, Andrew Mickey.
I still get invited back. That means I didn't do too bad when I was a young man.
We love having you back.
Yeah.
Nice win over Delta to open week one, Coach. Your takeaways from that victory over the Panthers last Friday night?
It was much better to start that way than it is how we started last season. Last year's loss at home against Delta was heartbreaking. It was much more fun to be on the positive side of that against one of the tough teams from the NWL that Coach Karchner was just talking about. We all know about what that league is and how they play football. So to open up week one and go to their place and come out of there with a win, it's pretty nice.
Coach, I know last year doesn't matter right now, but compare and contrast, because I know that week one loss last year had to sting. Compare and contrast last year's game with this year's game and maybe some things that went your way this year that didn't last year.
Well, I would say just offensively, I mean, we had a lot of mistakes last year, just a lot of mental errors and me as a first game coach, maybe I wasn't quick enough to adjust to some things and seeing things on the fly. I mean, I've talked about this a handful of times in the preseason. I know I had my desire to be balanced last year. I wanted to be balanced offensively. So in that Delta game, we were about 50-50 split run to pass. So going in and kind of evaluating things on that Saturday, we came out week two against Delphus Jefferson, our next opponent this year, and we were about 80-20 run to pass. We have an identity, and now juxtapose that with this season, like you asked about. We still have that identity. We know what our foundation is. We got 5 returning players up front, guys that have played a lot of football for us. We know where we hang our hat right now, and we've got those linemen up front, so we can run the football. We got a good running back that came back this year, stepping into that starting role in Torn Knieven. So that's kind of where we hang our hat, and you have that identity now established in year 2 of a program. The kids know what to expect. They know who we are, and more importantly, I know who we are, and I'm not trying to be a ding-dong out there being a 50-50 split. When your kids do something well, do that. I've always said that. If you've got identity, stick to that identity, and I know who we are now.
Yeah, very
Coach,
good.
We talked about this quite a bit on both the podcast this week as well as last week. You learn so much in a scrimmage, and scrimmages are great, but at the end of the day, everybody's kind of holding cards a little bit close to the vest and things as well. What did you learn about your team Friday night? That maybe you hadn't seen in your scrimmages, and what had you kind of encouraged because of that?
I would say definitely our physicality was something I was very proud of. It's something we preach and we talk about. We had that to an extent in the scrimmages. I mean, we were definitely physical in the scrimmages, but you only play your starters so long. You're rotating guys through because there's position battles here and there. So to see our starters going for as long as they did, and to maintain that high level of physicality and kind of winning those battles at the point of attack on a consistent basis, I was very pleased with that. And that was something that, like you said, you don't get to see a ton of in scrimmages. And I definitely think when you look at it, we won those battles. We were able to hold them to, I think, like 1.9 yards a carry. And that's a Delta team that's good at running the football. So I was pretty pleased with that. And then on the flip side of that, we were running about 6 yards a carry, and I don't think we had a ton of long runs. I think we might have broke 1 or 2. But, I mean, we were getting 4 or 5 yard chunks. So I was pleased with that, winning those battles at the point of attack.
Describe those offensive linemen for us. Are they all kind of the same dude, or are they all a little bit different?
No, I mean, not even just. I love those guys. It's not even just different personality types, but they're all different in their builds. I mean, you go left to right. You start out with Ethan Cordaway, Big Ethan. He's our big, most physical senior. He's a throwback player. He wants at the end of the night, he wants you to know that you just got done playing Ethan Cordaway. When we had the show over there, the preview show, and you asked our guys, who's the last guy you want to see lined up from you? Who asked that question? I don't remember who asked it.
Probably that's a strong
It might have
question.
been Young. Who's the last? But
Yeah.
Both of our guys said Ethan Cordaway. He's the meanest guy we got up front, and we're glad he's ours. If he was on another team,
Was he the one that I saw at your picture day that had a plate of pancakes?
That's Ethan.
Was that Ethan? Oh my gosh!
Well, see, I do a pancake award every year. And we track the pancakes as they go throughout the season. So they came in tonight after watching. They review the film themselves at the weekend before they turn the page over to our next opponent, and they have to write down the play numbers on huddle for their pancakes. And we hand out stickers on Thursday after our walkthrough practice. We'll hand out our stickers from last week, and that's when we'll verify. Hey, play 72 wasn't really a pancake. Come on, man. The kid tripped on his shoelace and you fell over. Why are you writing that down? Come on. So we'll go through and we'll verify those, and I'll have a standings out there. I print off little photocopies of pancakes, and I track those throughout the season. At the end of the year, I took our pancake winners, our pancake winner for the skilled guys and our pancake winner for the line guys. I said, I'll take you either to Defiance Pancake House, or you guys come over to my place, and I'll make you a bunch of special kind of pancakes, like cinnamon oat and stuff like that. And both of our pancake winners chose to come over last year, and Ethan really enjoyed himself. He had some stacks upon stacks, so he's really kind of bought into that whole ethos of trying to go over for the pancakes, and he's rip roaring to go to try and get back to my house and get some more pancakes this year.
Love it. Well, I got you off track there.
Oh, sorry.
Finish off your trench crew there.
Continuing on left to right, the next one is, just an absolute war daddy for us. A guy that's played a lot of football. You got Brady Clark. He was a junior captain last year. He's a captain again for us this year. He plays guard, and now he's transitioned this year from defensive line to linebacker. I mean, not only was he just pulling and running trap plays, and just did an excellent job. We didn't run a lot of trap last week because Delta showed a different front in their scrimmages than what they came out against us. So a little bit of adjustment midstream, but man, he didn't bat an eye. So he did awesome on offense, and on the flip side, he had 15 tackles defensively, just all over the place, and a transition to a linebacker role. So that's Brady Clark. Our center, I got to give a shout out here because a little bit of changing gears. We did have Trenton Florence get hurt in our Swanton scrimmage, turned his ankle pretty good, so he was out for us week 1. We had a sophomore in Levi McConnell, and Levi. difference between Trenton Florence and Levi McConnell. You got about 80 pounds and 2 years of starting experience is the difference between those two men. And but bless his heart, Levi McConnell was in there battling his butt off. He didn't miss a snap. I kept on telling him all week. I was like, Levi, you're going to be fine. Just snap the ball first. You got Brady Clark on one side, and on the other side, you have our next returning player is Caden Boer, a big 6'3", 280-pound puppy. He's just a sophomore, so he's still just a puppy, learning how. I don't think he knows yet how good he can be, and I hope he's not listening. I don't want him to know how good he can be. If he figures that out, he might not go as hard. And then you finish it off with Noah Bodie, and you've got another one of those guys that is he's not as big as Ethan, but he's got that same kind of temperament that he just wants to finish those blocks. So that's our front line, and like I said, love those guys.
Yeah, torn 148 yards for you, and kind of his debut for you.
Yeah,
What does he bring to the table in Owen Berner's spot?
Torrance is a bit of a different guy than Owen, and he's not quite as like Owen was. 6 foot 200 pounds, and he just had that left to right quickness even with that size. Torrin is still putting on that size now. To be clear, he put on a lot of size this offseason. I think he's up about 20 pounds from what he was last year, and he's faster because he ran track in the fall for Coach Manriquez. So he's faster, he's quicker, and he's not going to make as many moves as Owen did. He's going to see a hole, and Torrin is going to be full steam ahead, get behind his pads, and all of his weight is going to be behind those pads. And he runs really, really hard, especially considering for how big he is. So he did really well. I mean, 3 touchdowns, and I think we had the stats a little bit wrong. It was 145 because he got credited for. We have a freshman that carried the ball twice, Garrett McConnell, and Torrin got credit for those carries. So
Okay,
Coach, Delphus Jefferson this week, a team that you've got a pretty good sample of in the past, played them twice last year. Looking at the scores, who do they return, and how are they maybe a little different this year than they were last year?
Well, they got a different coach, so they're running a little bit of a different scheme. But as far as their identity goes, Tori, they're a very similar team to what they were last year. They're a very physical team. They've got a lot of size up front. Now they lost some of the guys that they had a really good tight end whose number escapes me last year. He hurt us up the seams last year in the playoff game. But even just last year, they were a totally different team from week 2 to week 11. I mean, that was I can't give those guys enough credit. Now I know it's a different coaching staff, but kudos to the old coaching staff and everything they did to really. I mean, they made tremendous leaps and bounds. They were a totally different team. And this year, like I said, the identity is similar. They're a very physical football team. They're going to run to the football defensively. They're going to present a lot of challenges for us. But I think we're excited to go over there and the opportunity to try and get that, run it back, so to speak.
Yep.
We had the 1-1 in the last 2 meetings, so let's run it back and see where we stand. Roll the footballs out and have some good honest competition.
Yeah, we saw them in the playoffs at Antwerp, and I was impressed with Tiemann, their quarterback, and the tight end. I can't tell you his name, but I was impressed with that football team. And you talk about the strides they made from week 2 last year to the playoffs, and looking forward to that. Stadium Park, Delphus is a football town. So
I actually got to go down there last week. They played St. John's on Thursday.
yes.
Yeah.
So after team meal, I was like, "Hey guys, thanks all for coming to the team meal. I'm gonna play spaghetti." And I was like, "I'm gonna watch Jefferson play St. John's real quick."
Yeah, that's
See you
great.
guys.
Coach, does it make a difference seeing a team in person versus on film? Is there anything you can kind of take away? Maybe size, speed, something like that?
I think some of that stuff is a little bit more authentic. You see it in person because you don't really get a feel for how big guys are on film. I like to try to get close enough if I can hear their snap count and simulate that throughout the week, so my defensive guys can kind of hear that as they're working their get-offs throughout the week and just understand what their cadence is going to be. I think that's a big advantage that you obviously can't get over huddle. And just seeing how their guys are when the film cuts off, trying to see, what are their personality types like? Because I think you can learn things like that might be able to give you a little bit of an edge, so to speak, on Friday night. And I definitely shared those things that I learned with our kids tonight, and with a little bit of advanced knowledge. Any kind of edge you can get, I want to try and give that to my kids and give them the best chance possible because I want them to be as successful as they can.
That's great stuff.
Coach, you talked about your big eaters up front on offense and, some of your offense. Talk about the defense a little bit there. What's the strengths of the defense and what do you like about that defensive crew?
It's kind of similar. We got a lot of experience back on the defensive side. Our whole secondary is 4 seniors, and they know again, going back to the offensive side, we're running the same stuff we ran last year. When I came in last year, I was helping call the offense with Coach Bainfeld, but I gave my defense to Coach Martinez, and he called it. Well, now I'm transitioned back over to the defense. I've given the reins fully to Coach Bainfeld, so it's kind of me and Coach Martinez, and I'm back on the dark side, and couldn't be happier about it. I love defense. So it's a second year in the system, and I'm just excited. These kids, they line up correctly. They know the adjustments. There's nothing they haven't seen yet. They know, hey, here's the trips. Oh, tight end's covered. They're making those communications. It's more fluid. It's less choppy. There's no missed alignments. So that's really exciting. And it's a 3-4 shell, lots of experience. I gave Brady Clark love earlier. I got to give Torrin love too. He had those 28 carries, 145 yards in offense. He's our other inside backer. He didn't have as many solos, but he also had 15 tackles in the tackle for loss.
Wow.
So our middle backers between the two of them had 30 tackles and 2 tackles for loss.
Journeyman.
Just keep some blockers off of them, and man, they're going to wreak havoc for you,
I was
Coach.
pretty pleased with that.
I know I don't have to tell you how to coach defense, but I'm trying to help you out a little bit.
I don't love any tips.
That was value adding for sure.
You won't be the first one. I lots of people tell me all sorts of things.
I don't know if you're in school yet, and obviously we have this heat this week, Coach. Are you adjusting any things with that, with the bigger temps coming up later in the week?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you gotta take those things into account. I just like Coach Karchner, I met with our trainer today, and Raf came in, our athletic director, Mr. Manriquez, came in, and we sat down for a while and talked through some of the things, and he checked over my practice plans and kind of counted. I already had my water breaks put in. I had a couple periods in practice where I was going to have them lift their shoulder pads off. We got a pursuit period. Let's take shoulder pads off. We're going to do pursuit. I got a punt cover period. We're going to take shoulder pads off. At the end of the practice, today we ran 40s for conditioning. I had to pop their lids and their shoulder pads just to try to get some air moving over them. And it's stuff like that. It's things that it doesn't hurt our preparation at all, but it makes them being out there safer. I don't have a problem doing that. And obviously extra water breaks. I had the water coming around with us wherever we were at. If we were in team time, there's water right behind. So we're rotating guys in and out. You're out, get a water. It's not, I talked to him about, there's a baseball video that's going viral lately, right? Like bananas don't cramp. Has anybody seen this?
Yeah, I saw something about that today.
Yeah, one of my players was talking about that, and so get a laugh with the kids. I had somebody play that and talking to them about them. Try to eat 3 bananas a day this week, guys. We don't want to, because you talked about it, Tori. What's Delta Stadium? It's turf.
Yeah. It was supposed to be 90 or whatever it is. Friday it'll be about 100 down there.
You know what I mean? Like
that rubber and.
So if you make too many accommodations, you're not preparing yourself for Friday. You got to do the right things, get the water. But I told the kids, make sure we're getting those bananas. Hydrate when you're not at practice. Have a water bottle with you. Keep drinking. If you wait until Thursday, it's too late.
Yeah.
So we got to get on that. And but as far as practice this week, we'll go regular today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. I think are supposed to be the real hot 2, with Thursday being up over triple digits. And I mean, that's our walkthrough practice. So we don't do a ton of physical stuff. We don't condition on Thursday, obviously, but we might either go shoulder pads or just helmets on Thursday. We'll see.
Coach, in addition to just health, which obviously is a huge concern, especially in this heat, what are going to be the other keys for you guys going 2-0?
Well, I think we need to go in there and have the goal again to not just match, but exceed the physicality level of our opponent. I mean, we definitely respect Elvis Jefferson, but we also want to be the more physical team when we take the field. That's our identity, and that's where we hang our hat. I talk to our kids about, who do we choose to be? Who do we want to be? Do we want to be that team, or the team that chooses to kind of be the nail instead of the hammer? So we want to go out there and be the hammer and be the team that has the more physical approach. They're going to be very similar to us as far as their approach. They're 70-30 run to pass ratio, so they're going to try to do those same things. They do a lot of tight end wing, where they're going to run wing T concepts at that side, and then they've got a twins out the backside that they're going to run pass concepts to. So they present definitely some challenges schematically for our defense, and offensively they're giving us a very similar look to what Delta did, with lots of guys in the box, an odd front, and they're really going to load up the box and make it a challenge for us to establish line of scrimmage. So we better come with our chin strapped up tight and ready for a battle.
How do you keep your kids, Coach Mickey, from looking at Jefferson? Their score last week, St. John's rolled them pretty good. How do you keep your kids from reading too much into that, if they've even seen that score?
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if they've even looked at that.
Yeah.
See, I'm
Now
trying to
they're- now
help
they're
him.
going,
I'm trying to help him, and you're,
Yeah.
jeez.
Lynn's giving out tips for my defense, and Tori's out here blowing the. I mean, I was there. I saw the game, and it was St. John's played a really, really good
Yeah.
football game. And I mean, obviously, we talked about the NWAL and what kind of conference they are. It's a different discussion when you're talking about the MAC and what kind of conference they are. So we all know St. John's is a MAC school, and they do MAC school things, and that is a really well played football game. And they took advantage of some of the things that Jefferson was giving them, and the biggest thing I took away from that, watching St. John's, because I'm watching the offenses, and I can't help but know they don't make plays that beat themselves.
Yeah.
They may be overmatched from a size standpoint, but that kid's going to stay in front and he's going to keep on battling. There's going to be no stopping of the feet or narrowing of the base. All the things that I mean, how many times you tell a kid when you're coaching, Tori? How many times you tell them, get your base wide, get your feet apart?
Yeah.
Say that a few times,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Couple.
Yeah, once or twice. Get your hips down. Those things, those kids just do. So I think Jefferson played themselves a really, really good football team, and that was the result. I don't think that takes away from necessarily the type of physicality and the type of talent that Jefferson has coming back. So you definitely want to respect your opponent. We're going to go down there and expect a battle. And
Yeah. Well said.
ready for
Yeah.
it.
Before we let you go, GMC a week ago, Paulding puts it on Swanton. Tenora plays Liberty close for a half. Edgerton Eden was pretty tight game. Missing a couple games here.
Earlier,
Yeah.
Wayne
Yep.
Trace over-
And Wayne Trace
Wayne
beating
Trace,
Fort
yep.
Recovery. You're early after week one of the GMC. Did anything change in your mind, or
4-4, I believe. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot better than I root for our conference teams. I think it's only good for us all to be successful in non-league. It helps us maybe get another team into the playoffs at the end of the year because, I mean, those computer points, we're not playing each other right now, so we're playing all those non-league schools. We want to try to get as many wins as we can as a league. And so as far as that, I'm checking the scores. I'm like, darn, I wish Edgerton would have pulled it off against Eden. That helps us as a league. I love Bob up at Eden. I coached Bob for a while, but I'm rooting for those conference teams because that helps us all. You want the GMC to be as good as they can. So see us go 4-4. That was a much better result than I think week one was last year. I know we lost last year. Tenora. I mean, you go down the line of the game.
I think there's maybe only one. Maybe
I think
Antwerp was
might
the
have
only
been team
one.
that
Yeah,
won their
1-7.
year.
Yeah.
Because I think we're all playing really similar teams. Yeah, I think
think everybody
might have been
played-
the only team that won last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
4-4. Man, it's pretty awesome. I'm juiced about that.
Head in the right direction.
Coach Mickey, thank you so much for
Yeah.
making the trip over. It's good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely, anytime.
Best wishes
Yep.
to you the rest of the way.
Good luck to you,
All right.
Coach.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
Coach.
You
Good
bet.
luck.
Appreciate it.